Nerd Reactor, roll out.
All right, Michael, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing? Thanks for
Good,
having me
good.
here.
Yeah, well, thanks for just being talented with music and everything. Yeah, because you've done. I think you've done pretty much everything. I don't know, like you're done. Like there's nothing left to do,
I
right?
know it sort of feels that way sometimes, doesn't it? I know.
Yeah.
I in the back of the office there is I keep all the scores from each of the films, and when I just walk by it and I look at this wall of scores, I'm like, oh my God, that was a lot of work. Just instantly makes me tired just looking at it. But the thing what I think about is all of the projects I've done have been things that I would have killed to work on if you told me as a kid, one day you're going to
Oh
do
yeah.
Spider-Man film. I'd be like, what? Or one day you're going to Star Trek, or one day you get to do The Incredibles or Up or Ratatouille, these sort of stories. It was all exactly the kind of movies that I dreamed of being able to work on. And that goes for both, say, IP driven stuff and original stuff that was out of Pixar, Disney, whatever it was. I just feel very lucky to have been able to do the things that sort of engaged me both as a child and are still engaging me now as an adult. But am I an adult? I don't know. Maybe
But yeah,
outwardly.
like for me, like I still get excited, when you're watching movies. Let's say the recent Deadpool and Wolverine came out. I'm excited to see all the crazy surprises. And on your end, because you're working behind the scenes, and then when you're watching things for the first time, like how is that for you, like movie wise, your own movies or other movies?
Well, when I'm watching, especially something for the first time, there's like Star Trek, it depends. If it's an original film like Up or Ratatouille, it's different. You watch these things differently. When you're watching something that has existed before, something like Star Trek, there's a whole other level of worries that come with it because not only did it mean something to me growing up, something like Star Trek, I know that it has a huge meaning to the rest of the world as well. And I take that very seriously, and sometimes that can hinder the way you think. So you have to sort of be able to just sort of push it all away and just deal with this as, okay, here's a film that me and my friends are working on. We're making this thing. Let's only worry about the story that's on the screen. Forget about the rest of the world for a moment. Forget that this is one of the most iconic things, or Rogue One, same thing. You just have to push that out of your head. Now with something that is original, that's a wholly different experience. And that you have a different kind of worry. The worry is, I want the world to embrace this. I want people to like this new thing. I want to support it as much as possible because the only reason we have those IPs are because someone made something original at some point, right? And I never want us to forget that creating original films, movies, TV shows it's more important now than ever, you know, because we do want to get to a place at some point where we could look back at that stuff and say, hey, let's make that. That would be fun in the same way that we're doing this now. So hopefully it's a I don't know if that answers the question, but it's different with every project.
Oh yeah. And you're working on the new album that just came out. It's the the title's a handful. It's exotic themes for the silver screen. It's a Michael Giacchino exotic themes. I don't know how
Yes.
do you ever you want to say it, but it's got
Yeah.
pretty much a big chunk of, not a big chunk, but select tracks with the
Yes.
Exotica themes. And
Well,
my mind is like just blown away by just like the thought process behind this and just reaching out into something from the past. Uh, let's just start with like, where did this idea come about? Like, why did you want to do this?
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, my dad had a couple records in his collection that were like Martin Denny or Arthur Lyman, things like that, and I loved those records so much because I was able to listen to them and be transported to a make-believe place, and it's one of the reasons I always loved listening to film scores. They transported me to a different place, and usually the place that they would take me would be back to that movie or back to that story. When I would listen to something like these records, these old records, they would transport me to a brand new place that I was creating in my head. And I thought, what a fun thing to sort of be able to combine those two ideas. Take something that exists like the Star Trek music, and what if we did it in this realm? Could I then transport somebody to somewhere brand new? Who knows? And but it was really just me. I wanted to hear it done in this fashion so badly for so many years. I thought it would just be fun to do. And I have constantly said that this is probably an album that no one asked for, but I really, really, really wanted to do it. I think it would be, I just thought it would be fun. And as I was saying, like, being fun is a big part of the reason why I choose something to work on. And that could be related to the people that I'm going to work with. It could be related to the subject matter of the film I'm going to be doing. It could be any number of things, but fun has to be a part of it. Life's too short to sort of like just take a job. And I've always been very picky about that over the years. So this really does represent almost everything that I've worked on, at least volume one up until 2011 here on volume one. It's like I just cherry picked something from everything I've worked on, and so it is like a timeline of my career, but done in this very different way. I thought anyone could sort of take tracks from the recordings and make up greatest hits, and if people really want a greatest hits of my music, they could just go on Spotify or iTunes and make their own playlist. But this felt like something special that we could do to sort of celebrate these projects and the people that I got to work with on them in a different, unique way.
Oh yeah, and because it's Exotica, so that means I don't know if you're like, how hands-on are you with this? Are you actually remaking everything, or you got a team that helps you out? And
well, I mean, look, you have a team. I had a great orchestrator, Curtis Green, who was really great. Jeff Cricket was also involved as well, and it was also the musicians that I had worked with for years on almost every single project I've ever done. These guys were on it. So the names you see on this album are the names that have played on everything from, Incredibles all the way up to, I don't know, what's with Spider-Man or anything like that. Like, so we're family pretty much. So we've done so many of these things together. So to do it without them felt wrong. And it was also a way for me to be able to showcase these players, what they can do outside of just film scores, to give them something to just go crazy with. And so piano, it was played by Marcus Barrow, who played all of the piano on Up and Lost, very specific stuff. But this was a way for him to sort of break out and just show, Mark, do a solo here, show us what you can do. And I'm always blown away by the level of musicianship that these people have. So, it's not something I could ever have done just by myself. It was done with the people that I love working with, in the same way I was explaining about why I choose to work on a film. These are people that I love working with. And I'm always happy to share their talents with the rest of the world in a way that is different from what people are used to seeing.
Yeah. And I'm just happy, like, when I was looking, like, let's see, what did Michael put on the list? And I was like, yes, Medal of Honor's on there. That got me excited. Like, that's the first time I heard your music, like, when I was playing it, and I was like, this is so good. And then I heard it again, like, what is it, on the Seabiscuit movie with Tobey Maguire? And I was like, like they're using his score again. Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Do you remember that? I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. That's funny. Yeah, it's it was a special thing. And, and there's not a lot of people that would have done this album this way. And I have to thank everyone at Mutant Records, because they were in it from the beginning. They were just like, yes. They were just like, yes, let's do this. Let's do this. And I love that sort of excitement when going into a project, this excitement of let's just make something. Let's make something different and weird and fun. And they were 100% on board with that. So, and up to the point where on the back cover, it's funny, it shows, coming soon, volume 2, we've already sort of got that in the works. So I'm excited about that as well. But anytime you get to do something sort of unique and sort of off the beaten path, that's where I want to be. That's what I want to try and do. So thankfully they allowed it to happen.
Oh yeah. And then some of the surprises I saw, like, you did the song, the Space Mountain one. I did not know that. I was like, yeah. So that means every time I go to Disneyland, I go on that ride, your music's there. And I was wondering if you ever had friends like, oh my God, your music, like everywhere I go, I can't escape you, Michael.
Yeah, well, it's me. Mostly I'm saying that to myself. Oh my God, I got to walk around this place and listen to me. I don't, it's always a double-edged sword there. But it's I'll tell you what, the one thing that is like not to use, to use an inside out phrase, a core memory is walking down Main Street at Disneyland and then suddenly hearing Up begin to play. And when Up was playing on Main Street, I thought, wow, that is mind-blowing to me. The fact that I have a piece of music that is playing on Main Street, that was kind of really cool. Because I am so enamored by so many of the people that worked, especially at the parks in music, the Sherman Brothers, like, come on, the best that wrote the two of the best songwriters in the world. And Richard, who just recently passed, he was a friend. And I to be in a place where I'm up alongside of someone like that, that is something I never could have imagined in any form for my entire life. I just never could have imagined that could be something that would be real.
Oh yeah, and like with Richard, there's this, the story with Richard and Walt Disney, just the personal performances like in his
Yes.
office. So I was wondering if you ever had any experiences like that where you get to experience something like this is it. This is like only I get to see from this performer or
Oh
anything
yeah.
like that.
Every time I present a main theme, generally, we are in the same room together playing it for the first time. I want them to hear it together for the first time, and not to say it always works out that way because of schedules and things. Sometimes you just send it off and hope for the best. But in many cases, I'll never forget, like even sitting and playing Inside Out for Pete Docter for the first time, that main theme, for he and his producer, Jonas Rivera. And just those are such special moments. They are such special moments because you're with these people that have been working on something for years, right? And this is going to be one of the final moments of the process for them. And you want this to be something that helps them get it over the finish line. So it's both, there's an anxiety and that goes along with it, but it's also a incredibly sort of, as you say, private moment where you guys are going to be the only ones experiencing it. And that has happened many times over the years. I remember playing the main theme for Up on with Pete. We were at dinner and he had headphones on and he's listening to it on his headphones. Things like that. Those are special moments, which I cherish. I love that.
Oh yeah. And one of your projects you've worked on, the Gargoyles video game.
Yes.
And I want to see you, like, let's say once everything's done with the series, like I want you to be a part of that project. Like I'm
Ah,
not sure if you can talk about it, but
oh, I don't know what's going on with it. I know
yeah.
that I know that they were re-releasing the game in some way, and then who knows? I guess they're making a movie, TV show. I don't know.
I think live action with James Wan, and
Oh, great.
yeah, like what would you do like to get your hands on that? Like, I want to be a part of this.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, look, there's so many things out there, and I have so many things right now that I'm currently like, involved in and working on. Uh, I feel I can't hog it all, right? I can't have it all. It's just hope that it goes into good hands and that they do something fun and new and different with it.
Oh yeah, but sometimes you can hog some things, right? For example,
I'm sensing you want me to hog gargoyles.
Gargoyles, but also let's say Fantastic Four First Steps, right?
Yeah, well,
A
look,
movie about superheroes, and then you've also composed The Incredibles about superheroes, which is kind of like Fantastic Four.
yeah, they are. They're
Yeah.
similar and different in many ways, and there's definitely room for both in the world. But yeah, those are two that I'll have my feet in both of those, And the challenge for me is how do I differentiate them? Because you don't want them just to be the same thing. You want them to different. And I think what Matt Shackman, who is directing Fantastic Four, is bringing to the table is very fresh, very fun, very different. And even on the outside, you go, oh, this is that. They actually aren't, and they're very, very different and unique in different ways. And we're going to do that with the music as well. So I'm just excited to work on that film. It's a really going to be a fun project for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like just those type of movies. I feel like for you, since I'm sensing like that's your realm, the setting with like because the Exotica themes like around the late 50s to the
Hmm.
60s, and I believe the setting for Fantastic Four is going to be something like that. And
Yep.
then also just that vibe of just the colorfulness. It's like I feel like this is it. This is like a score that you're meant to do.
Well, and I think it's a chance for us to kind of return to a bit of optimism in this bit of entertainment, and a bit of like, we're talking about family, we're talking about friends, we're talking about what would you do to protect those people, all of those things. But this idea of an optimistic universe, I like this idea, and I want to push forward with that. And I think that, that's kind of what we want to do. And if you had a chance, and I don't know if you were at Comic-Con or not, or at Hall H.
I was there, yeah. Well,
Okay.
not Hall H though, but
You didn't get, yeah. And did you get to see the drone show outside?
I did through Instagram.
Okay, yeah. So that's pretty amazing. But the teaser that they showed at Hall H for Fantastic Four was really just beautiful, and a breath of fresh air in so many ways. So I'm excited about it. Yes, it has inside its DNA everything I love. That is for sure.
So that was, let's say, the teaser. Your music was used in the teaser. Did you get to work on that or anything?
Yes. Yeah. No. I wrote the whole main theme prior to Comic-Con so that we could use it in the teasers and in the drone show and all of that stuff. Yep.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. I need to rewatch it again and then hear it. I'm like, all right, there it is.
Yeah, I know it's kind of hard to hear right now because it's like, I don't think it's even on the internet anywhere. And if it is, it's hidden somewhere. Let me know if you find it.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is just like, a lot of people yelling. It's hard to hear exactly what's going on. But, in time, it's just a teaser. That's what teasers are for, just to get us all excited and say, hey, we're making something fun. So, and that I promise you we are.
Oh, yeah. And I guess my last question would be, like, because you worked on so many different types of franchises, whether it's Marvel, Pixar, even DC, is there like anything left? And because, yeah.
That is a good question. I have no idea. I think that the thing going forward is just to do what I've always done, which is to look for things that I get excited about being a part of, that have people involved, that are people I really want to work with, and that can generate a bit of fun for a world that desperately needs it. That's where I want to go.
Oh, yeah. And Michael, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I just can't wait. I've been listening to the album, like just driving around. And
right, perfect.
Yeah, kind of dangerous because it's so relaxing, especially when you're driving on a road.
Well, it's good. Make yourself a drink at home, sit in the backyard, and just hang out and listen and relax, and just be in your own thoughts for a while.
Oh, yeah. I'll definitely do that. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, and can't wait till the future.
Well, volume 2 coming out soon.
Volume 2.
Yes. All right.
Thanks.
Well, thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Bye.